See those nifty patterns on these photos? Those are definitely not something that you want to have on your images. These lines indicate a light leak in the camera's film door, or in the case of this photo, the bellows of a 4x5 camera. Any part of a camera that holds film, be it a 35mm film door, a medium format film back, or a sheet film carrier, can have a light leak. Cameras with an accordion bellows, or when you have a macro bellows, those too can have pinhole leaks. So let's go through these images and look at the light leaks and see what they tell us about the problem. Okay, so this first image shows a repeated pattern in the light leak, and it's along the top only. That tells us that the light leak is at the bottom of the film door because the negative image is created upside down in the camera. The pattern is interesting here, and I've never seen it from another camera except the EOS 3 that I used for this photo. And this pattern leads me to suspect that the light leak in this camera is near the film winding spool. Those repeated patterns are likely caused by the stacked layers of 35mm film and the film sprocket holes that are alternately allowing and blocking light from getting past it when it comes into the light leak wherever it is, and that pattern occurs because the sprocket holes line up slightly off center with each successive layer of film that's rolled around the take-up spool. A large light leak that shines light through the sprocket holes should cause a pattern like that. Here's a 4x5 negative, and this negative is one you're going to see multiple times in this series. But for right now, ignore all of the myriad problems with this photo and focus only on the white triangle-ish type flare in the bottom right. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, negatives, when they're created, are created upside down and reversed from what we see in real life. So we know that the flare that we see was in the top left corner of the camera when the image was taken. Looking at the light in this image, for what this image is worth, we know that the sun was off to the left, so that confirms that this was definitely a light leak. We can tell from looking at this that the light leak was a bellows leak and not a film back leak. Firstly, a film back leak would have eventually fogged much of the sheet, if not the whole sheet. But more importantly, the width of the flare and the shape of it indicates that the light source was up and away. And you can tell that by looking at the geometry of the flare and extrapolating from that a 3D shape to pinpoint the location of the leak. A typical pinhole that's right next to the film will cast a bright and narrow streak because the photons are coming in aligned with the film, right? But because the hole that caused this leak was up and away, the photons spread out because photons spread out from an opening in a cone pattern. That cone was projected onto the negative, and that's why this flare spreads out, because a projected cone just looks like a badly drawn triangle. This sample shows what happens with color film. The different colors of leak indicate how long the film was exposed to the leak. The brighter the streak, the longer the exposure. Also, the light purple fringe on the right side of the frame confirms that these were caused by two different leaks of different severity, because the previous and subsequent frames had similar issues. Now, given the way that the leak from the previous frame splashes onto this image, the leaks are likely in the flat portion of the film back rather than near the edge or the hinge door because they're spaced evenly. Here's another color photo showing multiple light leaks. You can see the three through leaks pretty easily, but the right side of the photo also shows some smaller leaks that will likely become through leaks pretty soon. What I mean by through leaks are light leaks that are complete damage to the film back material so that light can just work its way right around it and cloud the film in a streak. So how do you rectify this? Replacing light seals is really easy. Here's a clip from my video showing how to replace light seals with cotton yarn. It should take about 15 minutes your first time to replace light seals on a camera, and it's definitely worth the investment in parts, which are pretty cheap, to perform this repair.